Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another political episode. All right, it's the day before Christmas Eve, and although it's very, very exciting, the holidays are here. But realistically, we're getting closer and closer every month to the presidential election. And I'm saying this, and it's only December. But today we're basically going to cover. I was kind of found of a video that Red Eagle Politics did, basically uh, predicting the election when it comes to analytics. And that is a very good, realistic approach because you need to know the voting history of each state and kind of why each state and demographically why each state leans that way. So we are going to do that today. First off, though, we have our 2024 presidential polls. We have Trump. It's the same thing. Trump getting some wins, more and more polls. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We're also I'm hoping to do a prediction uh in January. We'll see if it aligns with our prediction in December. Anyway. So let's talk. I'm going to pull up a map here. This is the political position map. The political positions of each state. You guys are probably going, what the heck? Because Florida is tilted. You got to realize that I got this from the 2020 presidential election. We'll X out that. I got this from the 2020 presidential election results. But realistically, I didn't really have Arizona and Georgia go tilting blue. I had them go tilting red, specifically because of their voting history. If you don't count 2020, the last time Arizona and Georgia voted, Arizona voted Democrat was in the 1996 election. The last time Georgia voted for the Democrats was in the 1992 election. So yes, this was Arizona and Georgia's very first time voting Democratic this century in a presidential election. So yeah, that's why I'm having them tilt red. So this is our current position. So you're looking at this map and you're saying, what's going on? And I'm not going to go through all the states, but we're just going to talk about blue states first. What about blue states? What do we know? Why are these states blue? First off, the Northeast, you'll see, is dark blue. As we know, it's a part of the Northeast megalopolis. It has New York City, along with Boston, Baltimore. And that said, Connecticut and New Jersey, half of the states, that tends to be a part of the metro area of New York City. Pennsylvania, despite having Philadelphia, is tilting red. That's because Pennsylvania is probably the most conservative state in the Northeast megalopolis. I don't know why. I'm guessing it's mainly the West over here, the borders towards West Virginia. Also, West Virginia, Pennsylvania does have Pittsburgh. So realistically, it's tilting blue. But I'm just saying, all these rural areas in Pennsylvania, they do have a lot of people. You like to think, oh, in Minnesota, no one lives in rural Minnesota. Everyone lives in the Twin Cities. Pennsylvania, that's not true. Everyone lives everywhere. And your beliefs are very much categorized on where you live. More people who live in rural Pennsylvania affiliate as conservatives. More liberals who live in urban Pennsylvania affiliate as liberals. So it really goes by that. We also have Virginia. Virginia tilting likely Democrat, mainly because of Alexandria, Arlington, Washington, D.C., and those big cities in the north. Not to mention there's Richmond, Roanoke, uh, even Virginia Beach, which is the biggest city in Virginia, which is a Republican hold, believe it or not. It voted for Biden, but it did vote for Glenn Youngkin. It's pretty much of a toss-up, but that's mainly a key swinghold in Virginia. What can make Virginia competitive? Yes, I would say if Virginia Beach, Trump performs well in Virginia Beach, the biggest city of Virginia, like I said, things will be very promising. And that Virginia would be pretty close. And if Virginia does go to Trump, this election is pretty promised for Trump. North Carolina. We know North Carolina is tilting Republican because of cities, once again, not to mention the Black Belt, but there's Charlottesville. Charlottesville, there's Wilmington, Raleigh, all these big cities in North Carolina. Same thing in Georgia. You have Atlanta. And just like Pennsylvania, people live all over. But a lot of the liberal population is smack right into Atlanta. And that's where the whole population buildup begins. Florida, you would say, is more leaning Republican now, or likely Republican. But according to the 2020 results, the last couple elections Florida voted was tilting Republican. This is because of cities like Miami and, of course, Orlando. We had Jacksonville, Florida go blue in 2020, Tallahassee, Tampa, all those cities. However, most of these cities voted for Ron DeSantis in 2022, and of course, that resulted to Ron DeSantis winning in a landslide. Polls are resulting that Trump wins by 10 points in Florida, and that would be contributed with some of these cities winning by Trump. So that's something to keep in mind. Ohio is leaning Republican. Like, we have Columbus, Ohio, and Cleveland. They're pretty much the only Democrat strongholds. But the rest, everywhere around Ohio is pretty much very popular. People live around Ohio. And Ohio seems to be more libertarian. They will vote for libertarian issues like abortion and gun rights. Michigan tilting, although it has been very liberal lately, it's tilting Democrat, according to our 2020 results. That said, Michigan has voted more for a Democratic Party. The very first time they voted for Republican was 2016. The very first time since 1988. So there's a little fun fact. Michigan will be competitive because of areas like Detroit. Detroit is going to be a big area in Michigan where Democrats need to get those people out and get out and voting. But then again, Detroit has a lot of pro-Palestine sympathizers, and they have already committed themselves to not vote for Biden. So it really remains unknown. Wisconsin. We know people live everywhere in Wisconsin. There are cities like Green Bay that are not Republican. They're held by the GOP. There's also cities like Madison, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Eau Claire, La Crosse, and people, not to mention conservatives in good holdings around the state of Wisconsin. It's very much a toss-up. So that is also to be expected. Well, once again, just like Michigan, the very first time Wisconsin voted for a Republican in 2016. All right, that was the very first time Wisconsin voted for the GOP since 1984, the Reagan landslide. Keep that in mind. So that was a record set. Iowa. And we're just going to say that the Deep South is confirmed. Despite having an African-American population, the Black Belt, that does not make a difference. The Black Belt is a rural area. As we know, it may have some impact in states like Mississippi, but other than that, we have seen in the 2022 elections where the Black Belt has actually gotten more conservative in these 2022 elections, like in Louisiana and Arkansas and Alabama. That's pretty much the case we're seeing now. Minnesota, leaning Democrat. 2022 elections prove that, yes, Minnesota will vote Democrat. In Minnesota, I mean, they re-elected radical Keith Ellison as Attorney General, who is extremely far left, and people seem to be okay with it. And I mean, okay, if people are going to go as far as to re-elect the radical and very controversial Keith Ellison, they're going to go ahead and re-elect Joe Biden over Trump. Definitely. North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, along with Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, rural areas. The rural country dominates those areas, along with the Great Plains. That goes also. Kansas has a lot of college cities, so it's very understandably that Kansas is more going likely, along with South Carolina, with Charleston, South Carolina, and Columbia, South Carolina. Iowa, same deal. A lot of college cities. They have more college cities than Kansas. That said, they also have Des Moines. It's not that Des Moines is the capital. It's more that they have a lot of college students. And that really does make an impact, making it more leaning. Texas is also leaning, despite having Houston, Austin, and El Paso, San Antonio in the ranks. They are leaning Republican. Colorado and New Mexico, diverse states. New Mexico has a Hispanic population. It is the dominant majority in the state. That said, I believe New Mexico and Hawaii are the only states where the white majority does not reign there. So yes, New Mexico, likely Democrat. New Mexico's pretty urban, rural. You have Albuquerque, but that's nothing, really, nothing. And yeah, a little population, but yes, it's more of the Hispanic majority there. Colorado, you have Denver and Boulder, and also Hispanic and Native American lingerants around the area. And it's in the 2022 elections proved that, yes, Colorado very will become a solid Democrat state. With the rate that Denver is growing and how fast the Democratic Party of Colorado is growing, I'm sure Colorado will be a safe Democrat state. Arizona is a tilt, despite having Phoenix, one of the biggest cities in the whole state, the biggest capital city. It's still a tilting Republican. Phoenix is a winnable city. Historically, it used to be a Republican stronghold, and it could possibly be one again. Well, I think Phoenix is done voting Republican personally. Face it, it's voted against Trump 60%, but winning areas and suburbs around Phoenix is very possible, and that will ultimately lead to Maricopa County being flipped. The Pacific Coast is blue, thanks to cities like Portland, Seattle. Yeah, we know. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland. The plain obvious. More people, very competitive, but most people live in the East Coast than the West Coast. But a lot of people live in the West Coast. Nevada is a tilt, despite most people living. Most people live in? A lot of people live in Las Vegas. But a lot of, it's very tossed up. A big tilt. But yes, Las Vegas. Democrats do not need a lot to win in Nevada. Keep that in mind. They just need votes in Clark and Washoe counties, and they pretty much win Nevada. Keep that in mind. Alaska is a likely Republican. We know this for fact. The Democratic Party pretty much only consists in Anchorage. And Anchorage is a very competitive city. I would say the Democratic Party mainly consists in Jonio and Sitka in the cities on the Strip. That's mainly their stronghold. They can rely on votes over here in the north, but that is also very unpopular, very rural, extremely rural, and inhabited by Native Americans. There's nothing wrong about that, of course. It's just very rural, unpopulated, and in order to win, you need to rally up votes in everywhere, not just the northern Alaska. Hawaii, of course, is blue. Why is Hawaii blue? They say Hawaii, it's because of Honolulu. That's not the reason. It's once again the diverse population. Pacific Islander is a popular racial majority there, and that pretty much dominates the islands of Hawaii. So anyway, I hope I did not bore you out on this long video. I hope you all enjoy and have a wonderful Merry Christmas if I don't see you again. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next political episode.